To have Scott here, and this is one to do with Madame Vieux Carré, what's not to like about the Vieux Carré and the history, the varied history of our famous French Quarter. Anyway, Scott's going to just give a short little brief preface on the book, and maybe answer any questions anybody has. So, Scott Ellis.
Thank you very much, Britton. Britton's the proprietor of the Garden District Bookshop. And thank you all for attending my signing of Madame Vieux Carré. I'd like to thank the Garden District Bookshop for hosting me, my publisher, the University Press of Mississippi, and also all those who travel such great distances to be here. The best introduction I can give the book is an insight into my motivations for writing it. I arrived in the Quarter in 1982 and resided there from 85 through 86. I returned several times a year and count many New Orleans residents as my close friends. I was one of many over the years who were captivated by Madame Vieux Carré's charms. Who would not be captivated by this Creole made west of a neighborhood who always has yet another secret in her bosom for those who get to know her well? There were secrets, I was sure, behind those old bricks, up in the rooms where just a little light showed deep in the night, and in the cupolas in the attics. And I was one of many of Madame's lovers who, enchanted by her beads, velvet and strong drink, learned also the stern mistress she could be. To love the Vieux Carré is to steel oneself to a sometimes unpleasant duty to the truth. To be sobered, yes, sobered up, by the dangers that can befall even the streetwise. To avoid the noisome crash of the party machine. To understand how the tides of economics can push longtime residents away, even as they may me part physically from Madame. Most personally, to continue to enjoy the Quarter, even in a sea of memories of times and friends long gone, when reminders present themselves at every turn. To really know the Vieux Carré is to love it all the more. So in 2003, I set out to write a history of the Quarter from 1900 until the early 21st century. There are many fine books about Quarter architecture and many engaging stories of fiction, but there have been no attempts at a holistic history after Herbert Asbury's well-known work, The French Quarter, which ends with the closing of Storyville in 1970. Our view of what holistic history can be has, of course, changed since that time. The Quarter exists for the amorous as well as the architect, for the young in the throes of sheer experience, as well as for those of us whom age has given the purview to reflect and try to explain. It existed for the Sicilian masses of 1900. It existed for the jazz-age writers, artists, and socialites who were the first wave of preservation. It nurtured the second wave also, who firmly planted middle-class life back in the lower Quarter in the 1940s and 50s. Madame hosted the Beats and the Hippies. The Vieux Carré found a new core of devoted lovers in the gays and lesbians of the 70s and 80s. With transplants fleeing other urban areas, the Quarter acquired new friends with perspective and prosperity enough to restart renewal. I tried to outline at least the experiences, travails, and triumphs of each of these groups over time. Those who know book publishing feel that every manuscript must be frozen at some point, and that point for my book was 2008. Many of the concerns I discussed in the last two chapters are still in play, still in debate, especially as we move to city elections next month. There are far too many items for brief talk, but I will highlight a matter of special concern, and that is enhancing the livability of the Quarter for residents and restoring the inner life of the Quarter. The obsession with tourism has obscured the concerns of residents. This is not merely a matter of mitigating the collision of tourist and residential cultures. This inner life exists because the little shops where cocktails go along with commerce. It exists because of the neighborhood bars where folks keep their clothes on, for the most part. It exists because of those who are willing to put up with the daunting logistics of living and working in the Quarter in the belief that this is the spot they've been looking for all their lives. They're willing to make the sacrifices and endure the risks to keep this rare and precious thing going. They're the latest in a long line from Stuart Irby to Lyle Saxon to Mary Morrison to Jean Bobel to the current Guardians. They must be encouraged, but just as importantly, the ground must be fertile for those who will come after them. To paraphrase one of the Quarter's architectural muses, Bernard Lehman, how do you preserve a kaleidoscope? You must keep it in motion. The history of the Quarter is one of motion with an overarching desire to preserve something so fine and so rare for ourselves and succeeding generations of Madame Vieux Carré's lovers.